Hi, I'm back for the third part of Chapter 19 called War of the Worlds. The Ziblings jet zipped through the sky above New York City, but no matter how inconsistently they piloted the aircraft, the superheroes couldn't lose the flying monkeys trailing them. Bluebeau joined the swarm of winged creatures as they soared after the jet, but not because he was under the Wicked Witch's spell. The little monkey was looking for his family and spotted his parents in the front of the flock. "Mom, Dad, it's me! It's Bluebeau!" he shouted. "Bluebeau?" his mother cried. "What are you doing here?" "You were supposed to stay in the witch's castle in Oz," his father said. Despite the concerned expressions on their faces, Bluebeau's parents never slowed down to greet their son or even turned to see him. Like all the other monkeys, they kept their eyes fixed on the Ziblings' jet. "I met some friends who are going to stop the Wicked Witch," Bluebeau told them. "Those superheroes are with us. They're the good guys. You've got to stop chasing them before someone gets hurt." "I wish we could, son," the father said. "As long as the Wicked Witch is wearing the golden cap, the monkeys are under her control." "I know, but can't you fight the spell?" Bluebeau said. "We tried, sweetheart, but it's no use," said his mother. "The Wicked Witch's magic is too powerful. You should get out of here and enjoy your life while you still can. Once you get older, you'll be under the witch's control too." Despite his parents' advice, Bluebeau wasn't ready to give up just yet. The little monkey left the flock and glided toward the city on a daring mission to save himself, his parents, and his species. Eventually, the flying monkeys caught up with the Ziblings' jet. The creatures landed on the aircraft's wings and began ripping it apart panel by panel. A loud alarm sounded inside the cockpit to warn the passengers. "That's not good," Professor Wallet said. "Those chimps are going to make us crash if we don't intervene." "Don't worry, Dad, we'll take care of it," Bolt said. "You stay inside and steer. We'll go outside and save the jet before this flight goes bananas." "Get it? Because they're monkeys?" Blaze, Whitney, and Morph sighed at their little brother's joke. "You've really got to work on those one-liners," Bolt, Whitney said. "Yeah, it's kind of crucial if you want to be remembered," Blaze said. But more importantly, merchandise," Morph said. The Ziblings crawled out of a hatch at the top of the cockpit to handle the flying monkeys outside. The aircraft was speeding at hundreds of miles per hour, and Blaze, Whitney, Morph, and Bolt had to hold on tightly to the edge of the wings so they didn't fly off. Blaze hit the flying monkeys with fiery blasts from the tips of his fingers. Whitney whipped the winged creatures off the jet with her long braids of hair. Morph transformed into a giant octopus and knocked the monkeys off the aircraft with his enormous limbs. Bolt zapped the monkeys with bursts of electricity, but since they were all clinging to metal, every time he missed, he accidentally electrocuted his brothers and sister. "Bolt!" they yelled in unison. "Sorry, my bad," he apologized. Soon there were so many flying monkeys covering the jet, the aircraft looked like a large black bird flying through the air. One of the monkeys ripped off a panel and found a bundle of wires underneath it. The monkey sliced the wires with its teeth and the jet's engines stopped working. The Ziblings' jet suddenly dropped from the sky and plunged toward the streets below. "Hang on tight, children," Professor Wallet's voice called from the speakers. "It's going to be a bumpy landing." Their mission complete, the flying monkeys abandoned the wing of the jet. Morph transformed into a giant parachute to ease the approaching impact, but the jet was too heavy. The Ziblings' jet smashed through the roof of a Broadway theater and nosedived into the orchestra pit. The rough landing knocked the wind out of the superheroes, and they slid down the aircraft and rolled onto the theater stage. Professor Wallet crawled out from a mountain of airbags and rested beside his children. Bolt looked around the theater as he caught his breath. "It could have been worse," he said. "We could have landed off Broadway." The smallest superhero snickered at his own joke, and to his surprise, his brothers and sister laughed too. "Much better," Blaze said. "Now that's a good line," Morph agreed. "See, it just takes practice," Whitney said. Suddenly a high-pitched screeching echoed inside the theater. The Ziblings looked through the fresh hole in the roof and saw that the flying monkeys were headed toward the theater. They weren't finished with the superheroes yet. The other Ziblings were still catching their breath, so Bolt leapt to his feet and flew toward the ceiling. Bolt said, "I've got some monkey business to take care of." His brothers and sisters groaned. "And you lost me," Blaze said. "Less is more," Morph said. "Should have stopped at off-Broadway," Whitney said. Bolt rocketed out of the theater and soared right past the flying monkeys. Just the way a bird protects her nest from a predator, the distraction worked and the monkeys followed Bolt instead. The superhero flew east and spotted the Chrysler building in the distance. The sparkling skyscraper gave Bolt an idea. He landed on the very tip of the building's sharp spire, and the winged creatures landed below him. The monkeys charged up the sides of the building toward the little superhero, intending to tear him apart like the Zibling jet. Bolt waited until the flying monkeys were on the Chrysler building's metal-coated roof. Then he looked up at the clouds and summoned a powerful bolt of lightning from the sky. The lightning hit the spire and sent a wave of electricity through the building. The extreme voltage made every light bulb burst, every window shatter, and it electrocuted all the flying monkeys. The winged creatures were zapped so hard they looked like balls of fur with wings. The monkeys fluttered to the ground and passed out as soon as they hit the street. Well, that'll put a monkey wrench in their day, Bolt chuckled. The little superhero was so proud of himself for defeating the flying monkeys, he didn't even need his siblings to approve his one-liner. He threw his head back and laughed until his belly hurt. The Winkies and the Wicked Witch followed Robin Hood and the Merry Men up Broadway to the Lincoln Center. The center was home to 5 large theaters that sat around a spacious courtyard with a large fountain in the center. Robin Hood and the Merry Men sprinted up the steps of the courtyard, and although there were plenty of places to run, they stopped at the edge of the fountain. The Winkies quickly filled the courtyard and surrounded the Merry Men with their weapons raised. "You morons give up so easily," the Wicked Witch remarked. "Do you hear that shrill sound, Merry Men?" Robin Hood said. "The witch's voice is even uglier than her face, and I didn't think that was possible." "Silence," the Wicked Witch commanded. "I mean, look at her," Robin continued. "The witch is so ugly when she was born, the doctor probably slapped her twice because he didn't know which end was which. All right, that's enough. The witch is so ugly she went to a funeral and the corpse got up and ran away. If you don't shut up, The witch is so ugly she was voted the national animal of Scotland." The Wicked Witch tapped her umbrella on the ground and a dirty sock appeared in Robin Hood's mouth. "I'm going to enjoy watching you die," the witch declared. "Winkies, kill this pompous man and his imbecile followers, and do it slowly." The Winkies lunged toward Robin Hood and his merry men, but before they could strike the Prince of Thieves, they were distracted by a large object overhead. The Charlie Chaplin rose over Lincoln Center like an inflatable sun. Beau Rogers stood in the doorway of the Blimp's gondola wearing the lost talisman of Pharaoh Eczema around his neck. "You aren't the only ones who are into mind control, milady," Beau Rogers announced. "Allow me to introduce you to my batch of brainwashed warriors." All the mummies from the Pyramid of Anesthesia crept out from behind the structures of Lincoln Center and surrounded the Wicked Witch and her Winkies. "My soldiers have already met their maker. Now it's your turn," Beau said. "Nice quip, kid," MG called from the blimp steering wheel. "Thanks, Aunt MG," he said. "Mummies, attack!" The undead soldiers approached the Winkies at a leisurely pace, which was as fast as the mummies could move. Unfortunately for Beau and the merry men, their surprise assault did not go as well as they hoped. The Winkies were exceptional fighters and tore through the mummies like they were made of cotton. Within a few minutes, the Winkies had defeated the mummies and trapped Robin Hood and the merry men again. The Wicked Witch let out a deafening cackle. "Any last words?" she asked. "Well, merry men, it looks like this is the end," Robin Hood declared. "I never thought we'd perish at the hands of soldiers with such ridiculous names and more flamboyant clothing than our own. Nonetheless, it's been an honor to travel the universe at your side." Robin, Alan-a-Dale whispered, "you're forgetting the next part of our plan." "Oh, yeah," Robin Hood said. "Thank you, my faithful minstrel. We would have met our demise had it not been for your steel trap of a memory. Moving on. Lost boys, your time has come." Suddenly, the Lost Boys from Neverland appeared on the rooftop of the Lincoln Center theaters and pelted the Wicked Witch with water balloons. "Take that, you mean old hag," Toodle said. "Adults like you are the reason we don't want to grow up," Curly said. "Go back to the nightmare you came out of," Nib said. "Leave our friends alone," the Lost Twins said. Although Slightly had been a baby since the Lost Boys visited Moriana's cottage, he still did his part and squirted the witch with his bottle. Soon the Wicked Witch was drenched and she began to smoke and sizzle as the liquid melted her body. Just as it had happened with Captain Hook, instead of bodily fluids, the witch dissolved into words. All the prose L. Frank Baum had used to describe the Wicked Witch in his books now dripped from the witch's body. "You horrid little brats!" the Wicked Witch screamed in pain. "You'll pay for this! You may have stopped me in the other world, but I'll get my revenge in the underworld." The witch staggered across Lincoln Center courtyard, leaving puddles of words as she went. She tripped and fell headfirst into the fountain and disintegrated completely. Friar Tuck knelt beside the fountain and said a prayer for salvation on her soul. Now that the Wicked Witch of the West was dead, her vicious spell over the Winkies was lifted. They dropped their weapons and pranced around the courtyard in celebration. Alan-a-Dale strummed a happy tune so that they had something to dance to. "What on? Robin Hood asked. Why are the Winkies skipping around like they're intoxicated? Robin, they've been freed, Bull Rogers called down to him. The witch has been controlling them for years. You mean the witch forced you to wear those obnoxious outfits in answer to that degrading name? No, we had those before the witch's spell, the Winkie said. Robin was thoroughly disturbed to hear it. Might there be another witch involved? Suddenly, Bluebow swooped down from the sky and landed on the edge of the fountain. He dived in and searched through the Wicked Witch's watery remains. The others were curious about what the monkey was doing and gathered around the fountain to watch him. I found it, he announced. Bluebow resurfaced with the Wicked Witch's golden cap in his hands. He threw it on the ground and then smashed it with one of the Winkie's spears until it broke into hundreds of pieces. There, Bluebow said with a satisfied smile. From this moment forward, no one will ever control flying monkeys again. The Winkies cheered for the monkey's newfound freedom. Although the merry men, the lost boys, and the archaeologists had no idea what Bluebow was talking about, they joined the characters from Oz as they danced around Lincoln Center in celebration. Such a strange place, this Oz, Robin Hood declared. It's not every day you converse with witches, monkeys, and Winkies. Actually, it reminds me of a weekend I had in France. And I'm going to stop the chapter there, and I will continue one last video on the next one. I'll see you guys then.